Everybody, we're live. Thank you. Yeah, I just got the notification on my phone to show me that I'm live. Just want to make sure I'm centered. Excuse me. All right. I think that's a little bit better under the light and where I'm usually at. Hello, everybody. Hello. See, we got one participant in there. Thank you all for joining in. We're going to keep this as short as normal, I want to say. It's my first time going live. I'm a little excited, as you can see. Wasn't really planning this, but it's this is all a new experience for me. And we're here. For those who have been watching, thank you. Thank you for subscribing and checking me out, seeing what I'm about. The music man, as I say. But today I'm just relaxing. That's why I wanted to go live and see how this feeling is of, emotion and emoting how I'm feeling to the world. Bigger dynamic. Usually don't go live for a very specific reason. I just don't trust the Wi-Fi where I'm at. Not that I'm, adverse to doing it or indifferent to going live. I just, I need more secure networking and a better studio, if you will, to focus in on creating the best content. And that's what this is all about. Because I'm a music teacher, and we want to be audible. We want to be clear about what we're saying, what we're giving out, what we're teaching. And so today, I wanted to talk a little bit about, how I'm feeling, and by way of me expressing myself through new mediums like going live. And I live by an airport, so I needed to actually go close my windows. Give me 1 second. I'll make sure it's enough sound in here. All right. So yeah, here we go. Without further ado, let's get to it. What I want to talk about today is a little bit off of the usual topics that I give with meditation and music and politics. This is a lot to do with history and why history is important for all of those previous subjects that I just mentioned: meditation, politics, education, race relations, economics. But again, what I focus on here is music and the philosophies, really, how we connect all of these items in our everyday current world. And that's important for us in this day and era, right? With so much influx of technology and interconnection and information out there to be received and obtained and given. It's important for people to sit back and reassess, the kind of timeline, but also our approach to participating and partaking in the structures. That's the pretty much definition of education, right? How you involve yourself with the bigger dynamic and world, and the way that is processed, right? That's the intelligence, if you will, of group dynamics, sociology. Just cleaned up my books, and this is one of the first college, I want to say probably the first or second book that I bought in college. It's a book on sociology. I got it when I was going to Humboldt, and the professor, he's actually a professor who is really profound in sociology. I honestly forgot the man's name, but the professor I had was actually a really good professor, and he taught me a lot about group dynamics and the current world, and he was really prepared to teach students from all different walks of life in a school that was way up north of California, right in the country and community suburban right area. Um, what the world was getting ready to get involved with, as it pertains to social media and the news media and politics. And so shout out to that professor. I promise I will find out his name looking at my old classes and give him a shout out because he recommended a great book and he was just a pretty good professor. So thank you for that, Professor and Humble. Um, so yeah, I was going into that because again, it's how we look at the world, how we internalize ourselves in the world and want to transmit it out. So that's what you see this video is about today. Today, August 28th. I wanted to do a video knowing that a lot of people don't really know what this day is. Because let's just face it, and this is more my less professional and more casual personal page. So a lot of people don't really study history. They don't want to. They don't want to, involve themselves with dates and memory and knowing how things connect, from year to year, month to month, decade to decade, generation to generation, right? And I'll be honest, it's not really my most fun subject, but I do respect and I love history because I love learning about myself and I love art, right? That's why I love learning about myself because I love producing and creating art. And in order to do that, right, you really have to know yourself. So a lot of that has to do with the traditions and the history of how I was raised and me underscoring, um, the diversities in my life with the subject of history and recognizing that it all connects and there is a certain specific order that should be maintained and honored, right? Um, so I probably won't be as entertaining today, but I will say that um, you know uh, the approach I have to education does have a real effect on my life where it makes me appreciate who I am and go about my life in a way where I am confident that I can help others learn and respect the humanities, learn and respect the arts, and want to produce really good content. And I hope I can do that today, and also educating you on what August 28th means. Right, August 28th is it's not a holiday. It's not a specifically recognized date in our American calendar of remarkable dates or historic dates that in other words we don't really educate um, the connections in the United States history to what August 28th means, right? And that's why I wanted to have this kind of big title right there and that profound picture right there. I hope people can see it with all of those African American leaders, um, with Barack Obama being iconic in there and uh, Dr. King being almost omnipresent in the picture, and Malcolm X and W. Du Bois, and one of my personal favorite educators, Booker T. Washington. And it's so many people in there. I'm probably not going to try to name them without looking at that image, but um, it's a very powerful picture, And August 28th, right? The regular calendar year day, and every year, August 28th means a lot to Black Americans. But this video just isn't about that. This is a video about continuing to move forward with the profound effects that a subjugated group has persevered through in this country towards success, towards excellence, and enduring in the trials and tribulations, because we all know the battle isn't done yet, right? It's really why I first started, and going back to my very first broadcast, non-music performance on police brutality, right? A kid who was shot, all of those times, claiming that he had a weapon, right? But there's a history of that. But August 28th has served as a constant reminder and evolved date, reoccurring date, the March on Washington, right? Barack Obama's inauguration, right? Excuse me, nomination into the Democratic presidential seat, right? Um, there's a lot on August 28th, and all the way up until recently with Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman passed away. The famous actor in Black Panther passed away on August 28th, right? I definitely want to remember Emmett Till, right? And this is why I had to definitely make sure I didn't forget this part of what I wanted to speak about, because I posted about Emmett Till and the music that has helped African Americans, Black Americans sustain and persevere and accomplish success through music. Music, right, is crucial to the African American experience in all of the United States history, but particularly through the civil rights movement. The reason why I mentioned Emmett Till is because I posted about this visually on my Instagram account. I'll probably link that later so you guys can see in the way I, as I said, as a music teacher, as an artist in general, go about trying to connect to people and trying to educate the masses through my particular unique way, and trying to involve all of the intelligences, whether it's art, or kinesthetic, or what else do you have? Environmental, um, linguistic, where you're talking about words, logical, where you're thinking about uh, arithmetic and mathematical sense, right? Where I'm trying to involve all of that, because I teach everybody from all different styles of thinking, right? Um, so Emmett Till, Emmett Till incident was, I think, on August 28th, if I'm not mistaken, or when it could have been when his mother, um, chose to speak out. But in any event, um, the importance of this day goes beyond just the number, right? Um, or the month that we choose to recognize how we have endured battle. You know, Slavery was abolished in 1833 on August 28th in Britain, right? Before it was abolished here in America, right? Yeah, it was the day that Emmett Till was murdered. But the unique thing about Emmett Till, and that was one of the worst tragedies of this country, right? But the unique thing about Emmett Till that I always look at and is striking to me, with so much force and brutality that was casted upon him as a boy, um, is the fact that just, 10 years after that, even 10 years before that, when you think about it, we really made great strides in this country to um, desegregation and inclusivity as it pertains to music and art and culture, and all the way up to the military. So, um, 10 years prior to Emmett Till's tragedy, and 10 years after. It's almost like the Americans were numb. We were numb to are at the very least in denial. You know, where best case scenario, they were in denial about where we stood in this country as it pertains to race and how particular groups of Americans were treated, right? Historically, keep that in mind. And like I said, 10 years after that, in the late 1940s, early 1950s, you have Motown. And as I said, on August 28th, releasing their first hit record, 10 years after Emmett Till's death. And so to me, I'm not trying to come off as a profound sociologist or marker of historical dates, but that is very crucial, and it should be recognized and substantiated that that is a very ignorant time for the people to have gone through so many troughs, rises and falls with people's experience in this country. It's significant, to say the least, that we were on a pendulum of emotions in this country. August 28th serves as a day to kind of, to me, as I said. And by the way, my birthday is on Juneteenth. I'm not shy about that, with sharing that to people in my city, because we, as long as I can remember, since the early 90s as a kid, have continued to promote and invest in the Juneteenth celebration all the way until last year. The president made it a national holiday. So for me, as someone who, everybody knows the Juneteenth, and a lot of people know that that's my birthday, right? I've always been aware about the trials and tribulations and struggles in this country, and points to where we have to get a reality check. The ugly truths, as they say, in this country, being that I was raised by my grandmother, and who kept me in these books and definitely helped me see what my birthday was, and espousing that to the church, and even at the clinic she worked at in Watts, the Watts Health Center, right? But I understood that a lot of people wouldn't accept that, or not accept it, but understand, or have such a heavy investment into wanting to connect people to the realities of this country. Like June 19th, 1865, Texas, Galveston, Texas, right? A lot of people know about it now. Look how much work that took. How many years to actually just make it a national holiday and reminder to this country that there were indentured slaves in this country by force, right? There's so much I want to talk about, but I'm going to keep this video short, because I know that's a lot of information. When you think about, as I said, these timelines and catapults in society, we can't even shy away from the fact that just 10 years ago, right, we had the first African-American president re-elected. And 4 years before that, he was elected on August 28th, starting his nomination. And then, of course, November 8th, winning the election in 2008, right? Giving that speech on race, And when I think about Obama, and I've done a video on Obama and how I actually met him and whatnot, and I was actually in student government, inspired by him, probably even before him, but it definitely meeting him, or before he made mainstream, I should say, rather. I was a baby when he was actually first elected into office. I want to say like 1994, right? Um, but just to stay on topic, on August 28th in 2008, he was given the nomination. Um, and then 2012, being reelected, obviously after his election, he ran on hope, right? The first one was change, and the second one was hope, right? That was his way of saying to the world, and particularly African Americans, that what I'm saying about why I titled this video August 28th, we have to have reality. We have to have a clear set of facts about our experience in this country, good and bad, and the ugly, right? August 28th is that pivotal day that is almost like a twin of Juneteenth, because we weren't there for slavery. We're just here to know the experiences our ancestors have endured and persevered through and overcome, right? And to constantly know how all of it connects to our struggles today. But we're past that. We know what works in this country, and freedom is that, right? And as I said, with Obama's second reelection, he ran on hope and um, moving forward, if you will, right? Forward, what is the slogan? And hope, right? So um, that's me. That's what I believe in. Now, you may notice I caught this red pill, green pill, blue pill, purple pill, all of that. I'm going to shy away from actually going into that in this video, but I will throw in some links because I don't want to stay off the topic of, as I said, really understanding where we're at in this country as minorities and black people, right? Um, I follow, and I mentioned this in I think my last video, or probably the video before, that I follow a lot of professors that help me understand what manhood is like from their perspective and their lens. These are men that I look up to, that are fine, successful, that are academic scholars and professionals, as I would like to be. And I don't agree with everything they say, but I find myself agreeing with a lot. And particularly on this subject of red pill and blue pill and black pill, because there's a probably fairly known group of YouTube people out there. Now, first of all, I'm not going to put myself and include them in myself with the manosphere, but I definitely keep up, with the issues that they discuss on social media, namely YouTube. And you have the regular manosphere and you have the black manosphere. And I don't follow any of these guys. I'm not any kind of expert. I probably would recognize a few names, but there's tons and tons of these guys all around, you can imagine, particularly concentrated in this country, but all throughout the world, right? And they travel and they want to focus in on issues of masculinity, right? And that's perfect. We have a right to do that. The reason why I don't necessarily connect myself with the either of the manosphere or black manosphere, is because I'm an educator who focuses on arts for all people. So it'd be kind of contradictory for me to do a whole YouTube channel on my experience as just as a man, right? Instead of me explaining my experience, let's say as a singer who started off as a boy, right? So that's just me. But I do follow some of these guys, like I said, just to kind of know particularly the ones that I admire and I follow their writing material and scholastic works, such as Dr. Ron O'Neill, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, who I've been following for a few years now. I was introduced by Dr. Johnson by one of my former professors online. I think he just got his doctorate. Yeah, Professor Keith, always been a real close personal mentor of mine, and he always reaches out to me and connects with me. And I appreciate that. Um, uh, you got Green Gorilla out there. Follow him a bit. You got BGS Ibmore. He's from LA. A Gnostic. Gnosticism is a belief system, and he is definitely a leader in the Black manosphere. You have Keep It 100, right? More on my, more youthful urban side. Arami Osei from Palm, who's from LA, but he lives in Georgia, and he is known as the funky academic, right? So I follow a few of these guys, what I will say about Red Pill and Blue Pill and Black Pill Talk is that, first of all, these guys are doing some great. Thank you, David. Good to see you, man. Young gentleman that I grew up with and has sustained and endured a lot, and now he's a leader, helping people, in the community that we grew up. And I appreciate you, David. I will get better at this YouTube business, I promise, and be more technically savvy so I can give everybody their proper shout out in due time. But thank you guys. So yeah, as I was saying about the academics and the academia and the manosphere, right? The professors that I follow. I just have to link up a lot of the videos because I can't say it, and I don't want to go too long on my videos because, again, like I just said, I'm still starting up, and I am pushing myself to get on their level, for better lack of words. I would hope to get on their level as far as being able to reach the masses and talking about the issues that matter to us as minorities. And they focus a lot in on Black men. Obviously, I'm an African American man of color. Um, uh, I'm laughing because I have a lot of background in me. I mean, I know I'm a man of hue and a man of dark skin color, but I'm Caribbean. I have Creole in me. There's a lot to me. I have a very international perspective. Even me just living in LA my whole life. So yeah, and that's just really the greatest lesson I could probably teach anyone on YouTube is never judge a book by its cover, right? But yeah, I follow these professors, and I'm going to link everybody in there. They did a really good video on colorism that I've been going back to a lot in my videos. They did another great video on King Richard, the movie, with Will Smith, right? Directed by and or helped produce with the Venus and Serena Williams sisters, right? About their dad raising them in Compton. So I'm not about to sit here and talk about what actual those pills mean, but I will say for me that I am a bearer of the truth. If anything, I'm red pill. I don't have to be always about Black male issues. I'm definitely not a liar or dishonest about the issues. So, you think about red pill or blue pill, you think about the matrix, right? As I said, I'm definitely going to be finding out the truth. And music is my medium. So I popped out this, got so much junk and paperwork I got to siphon through. And I've been very busy doing an event. I had a couple of events today. My brother had an event. This is, if anything, I am pill about. This is my pill. What does this say? A history of Western music. I'm going to drop my food. A history of Western music. because I want to know how it comes together. I want to know the truth. That's what I'm about. Yeah, I got some black pill in me, you know. Hell, I even got a little nobody will admit this. None of those professors either. No disrespect. You know, I got a bit of a jokester in me, but it's right here. Yeah, oh yeah, I read it. I got the receipts. Purple pill. You talk about purple pill so much and the dynamics of women, and and yeah, I gave Dr. Neil a shout out on my Facebook page because that he hit that video. He hit it right on the nail as far as what we're actually experiencing as black men, young, particularly young black men. Nobody wants to talk about it. From Harvard to Morehouse to BET to the news to Obama, what we're actually going through as young men, young black men, particularly. Young men across all backgrounds are going through a lot. And I'm just now going into full adult manhood, right? Um, this year as a 32-year-old man. But nobody really wants to talk about this stuff. And so yeah, I follow these professors for that reason. You know, I don't sugarcoat the experience and issues that we go through as men. That's important. Now I have a very unique and profound way of giving it out that I know cuts across all denominations and backgrounds and gender and everything else as a musician. Um, but people make no mistake in even letting me know that yes, sir, we understand what you guys go through. Um, but you have to read. You have to read. I don't just sit here every week behind my bookshelf for no reason. I do read these books. You have to, go back and that was a book we read in high school, right? I went to a pretty good charter high school where we really focused in on literature, had a profound effect on me. But yeah, that was one of the books. So when I see all these professors start talking about, I'm not just thinking about the movie. That's elementary to me. To just be thinking about what they had me looking at between Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg, for example, or Danny Glover. I read that book. They talk a lot about black men in that issue as being kind of villainous. Make no mistake. Um, we are not a monolith. Our story in this country was not that of all victimization. It was some control and power and abuse in there. But Alice Walker is really a great writer, is why I follow some of her works. I'm not too super familiar. I'm not like a huge fan, but as far as the symmetry of writing, she's pretty good. And she makes sense as far as underscoring her experience as a woman. And that's just a great perspective and worldview that she did good in her book with. And that's why it was picked up into a major film, right? There are black men in the Color Purple story that succeed, that have success towards the end of this book. And it even goes so far, and even in the movie, they have a little bit of a cinematography where Celie and Mister are actually on somewhat of good terms. The book, they definitely explain that, and how not Suge Avery, but the one that Harpo was with, the one that ended up getting slapped in the movie, and she has a very small role. I forget her name, but the pretty young lady that Harpo looked up to, and actually it was Suge Avery. It was Suge Avery's the guy that Suge Avery ends up with at the end of the movie ends up getting a marijuana plantation, and that's how they preserve their land between Mister and Celie, because remember Celie also had property too that was given to her. So after that separation, they maintained their land, and they had agriculture, right? It's a very complex story about the black experience that really drives home to the overall experience of Jim Crow in this country and slavery. And as I said, Juneteenth, right? The freedom of all people in this country on the backs of African Americans. So, yeah, there's a little bit of red pill, blue pill, green pill, right? Money, purple pill, the truth, the psychology that they want to emote out. But what is the reality? The reality is we have a lot to do in this country still, but we also have a lot to celebrate. And, I'm not trying to come on here telling people what to do, but one thing you can see about me is I'm not all doom and gloom, right? I meditate, I work out, I'm a teacher. I've had some success I've had a pretty good amount of success as a young black man in this country. But I know that's not the same for everybody. I know the uniqueness and special role that I play. And that's why I'm trying to do everything I can and getting out the truth so we can all come to terms on what we actually have to do in order to succeed with everybody being included, unless you just don't want to see that, right? So we'll talk more about that later too, and what that actually means, right? And why I try to stay red pill, not black pill. For those who thinks I'm out of the loop with all these things, I'm not. I just don't really talk about them a lot because I have a lot of other pressing issues as an educator to, tackle. These professors that I follow, I respect them. I trust that they will know what they're doing. They definitely have more experience than me. So what I have the experience in is teaching art, and inclusivity is a word that they really don't like in academia because it's kind of a misnomer, right? Um, so yeah, August 28th, the real Juneteenth. We'll see how everybody feels about it next year when they analyze why I'm making that forefront and message on my birthday and hopefully the next August 28th. God bless you all. The Music Man, support, drop that like, hit subscribe, share the video. See you next week.